Hi, guys, and welcome back to Culture, Lifestyle, and Mental Health Podcast, Season 1, Episode 3, hosted by myself, Nessie London. If you're tuning in with us for the first time, this is a podcast where I connect with people around the world to discuss topics surrounding culture, lifestyle, and mental health. If you like our podcast and want to get involved with our conversations, use the hashtag Clmpodcast and follow our Twitter page, which is at CLM Podcast 1, and our Instagram is CLM Podcast. So last week, our topic was about, is the pandemic the main barrier in changing jobs? So thanks for getting involved with that, and continue to get involved and use the hashtag CLM Podcast for more future conversations. So our new topic is how to deal with rejection. And my special guest today is Brimma. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on today. It's a pleasure to be on here today. Loved the podcast last week. So, yeah, I'm very good.
Good. Thanks for joining. Okay, so for the people that are just tuning in now, could you just tell us a bit about yourself and why you've taken interest in this particular topic?
A bit about myself. I'm a working man. Me and Vanessa work at the same company. 31 years old. I don't know what else is there to know about me.
What country are you from?
Well, my native country is Ghana, so obviously
same as me. Yeah,
same as yourself. Obviously I've always lived here, but I've got a good connection back home, so I go there quite often. Very good looking guy. I'm joking. So yeah, I'm just literally working man, and I'm just trying to find my way and navigate through this crazy world and this crazy part of the world called London. So that's it about me, to be fair.
Cool. And why did you take interest in this topic about how to deal with rejection?
It's an interesting topic because you see it on a day-to-day basis in all aspects of your life, whether that's your love life, work life, even just going out and about, if you're looking for a new job, mortgage applications, or every stage of your life, you're going to have to deal with some sort of rejection. And it's interesting on how people take it. Some people take it to motivate, and some people take it to be a bit bitter and just kind of stay in the same situation they're in. And I also hopefully get to touch on maybe like upbringing in terms of an early stage and how that can impact how
absolutely.
you take rejection as well. So it's a quite interesting topic, and we've all been rejected at some stage of our life, and I guess how do we deal with it?
Great, fantastic stuff. So the first question, Brimma, that we're going to discuss is why do you think rejection hurts so much?
I think it hurts so much, I guess because it's no, you can't have what you want. But I believe that it hurts so much for certain people. The reason why I say that, just a few moments ago, I said about upbringing. It hurts so much if normally you don't get told no. So it's like a big surprise. We normally see it when we go to our day-to-day shopping. I'm sure probably, Vanessa, we haven't had this conversation, but I'm sure you've been down to your local Tesco or Sainsbury's, and you've seen like a toddler or like a child under the age of 8 or 9, and they'll say to their mummy, I want this, mummy, I want this. And at that stage, although the mum doesn't know it, those early stages dictates how they handle rejection later on, because two things can happen. Either the mum says, okay, you're embarrassing me, I'll buy it for you, put it in the basket. Or what happened to me with my African mum, she'll just clip me around the ear. Don't be silly, don't embarrass me, put that down. And then I'll just learn my lesson from there and know not to do that again. So some people take it personal because they've always never been told no. So in that situation where the kid got what they wanted by kicking up a fuss, they learn to use that each time that they're met with rejection in life. And so I think people take it personal because they've never been told no before, or they just don't know how to deal with it from an early age. So I think that's what I would say on that.
Okay, cool. In my opinion, I think it depends on the situation, which we're
Yeah,
going to go deeper into later on.
yeah,
But I feel like different forms of rejection have like different impacts on us. So, for
absolutely.
example, if you experience racism,
Yeah,
that doesn't hold the same weight as maybe being rejected from a man or a woman.
yeah,
So it all depends on, how you would react to that. For example, I wouldn't
hmm
respond in the same way
hmm
to racism as to being
yeah,
rejected by a guy. So they hold different weights.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I feel like regardless of how big or small rejection is, like it still hurts. And it also depends on like how much you value what you're being rejected by. Like, for example, if it's
Yeah,
a person or a potential job or a friend or even a
hmm
family member, it depends on like how much value that rejection holds, which actually goes on to my next point, which is about expectation.
hmm
So how closely do you think rejection is correlated to expectation?
I think they work hand in hand.
Mm,
If you're asking or you're saying, I mean, handling rejection, how close is it to expectations? I think they work hand in hand. What
mm,
we can
mm,
sometimes do is we can kind of expect, I don't know, it's quite subjective, but we can expect either too much from
mm,
ourselves or too much from somebody else. So then when we come across rejection, we just don't know how to handle it because we believe we deserve it. And that again is where the expectations don't match in terms of what I guess you can bring or what that person can bring. And then that's when it's even harder when you expect much more from yourself or much more
mm.
from somebody else.
Mm, okay, yeah, and I have an example. Like, obviously, we both grew up in like an African household,
Yeah,
and the culture is like focused on respect and acceptance. And I
yeah,
felt like growing up, like my personality wasn't really accepted like that much at
yeah,
home
yeah,
because like we don't really have open conversations about like mental health or like how
yeah,
we're feeling. We're kind of
yeah,
expected to just get on with things within the African
yeah.
culture. There's not like that freedom of expression. Do you have any examples of maybe your childhood where you felt like you've been rejected or there's been certain expectations of you?
I kind of, I guess me and you kind of have the kind of same sort of background where we're Ghanaian, etc. But we've always lived here. I've obviously spent some years back in Ghana as well. But
Yeah, yeah.
over the course of the years, my ability to speak Tree, the native language, it's not as great as others. So when we go
Mm-hmm.
to parties or we go to events where there's aunties and uncles, they previously used to see me as kind of not like one of them. So I was kind of rejected. I'm an English boy because I can't speak Tree the same level as they can or their children can or whoever's in the establishment. It does feel initially it feels like a joke. Oh, they're just having a little laugh with you. But after a while, you kind of
Yeah.
lose your identity. You feel like you're not a part of that, the wider family, the Ghanaian community, because you can't speak Tree as fluently as them. What you was saying about our culture where we don't kind of speak about mental health and feelings, I think that is all true. But I do believe now parents are kind of getting a grip on these things and trying to have
Really?
conversations with the children. Yeah, I think so. I think some African parents are starting to adapt. You know, I'm not too sure about yourself, Vanessa, but do you have like African aunties who just plague you with WhatsApp messages and things like that? So they're adapting to technology and seeing things out there like Instagram, and they're just starting to, just try and be more in with the younger lot. So yeah, so those conversations you can have them at the table, whereas before you couldn't. So
I mean, I'm
yeah,
not too sure I agree with that because
okay.
technology is different. It's different to like having the actual conversation. Are you talking about like just being in more contact with them? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, and just kind of
Mm.
checking in with them more, and um,
Oh,
I
okay,
guess
I see what you mean.
yeah, I guess even what they see on like the internet and stuff with with what's been of recent where mental health care is being pushed out there in terms of Twitter, Instagram, even just like WhatsApp messages, check on your loved ones. I think parents are starting to kind of understand it a bit more.
I think it depends on the family. Even I had a podcast with another guy who's 20 years old. He's from an African household, and one of the questions that we had was like, how are you dealing with like working from home and like living with African parents? And then I asked them, describe your support system in like 3 words. And the girl, she was Caribbean, and she said like her family are very like caring, like they ask how she is. And then the other guy that was African, he was like his support system is non-existent. So I think it depends on the family, to be honest, and how educated they are on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's still the same, but again, I think it just depends on the actual household, to be honest, if they're willing to educate themselves on it. And allow their kids to express themselves.
Absolutely.
But okay, so the next question that we're going to go over is we're going to give examples of different types of rejection, different forms of rejection, how we would have dealt with it in the past compared to how we would deal with it now. So I've broken it down into 1, 2, 3, 4 categories. So the first one is personal, second one is love lives, third one is work, and the fourth one is classism. So we could just give an example and how we would have dealt with it in the past in comparison to now. So if we start off with personal rejection. Personal, okay. I would say just with like how I said before with family. Like them having a certain expectation of me, expecting me to have a certain job, live a certain lifestyle. I feel like in the past my reaction would be like to be angry and just bottle it all up, because I felt like in that environment I couldn't really express myself. So I didn't feel comfortable doing that in that situation. But I feel like now that I'm older and that I'm more independent and I've moved out from home, I feel like it's more of a case of I'm not really seeking their approval, not in like validation, not in like a disrespectful way. Like I always will love them and have respect for them, but I feel like now it's just, do you know what I mean, it's my life, so whatever I decide to do is completely up to me, and I just hope that I can get their support through like the process.
I would kind of agree with you. I've kind of had faced similar scenarios as well, where, for example, I might have been dating a girl who might not be, for example, from the culture. My mum's been like, the family's been like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Will make some noise. And even me, for example, now I have red hair. Having red hair or coloured hair in the African, I don't know, community is like,
That's
what
taboo.
are you doing? This is taboo. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? So it's like now, before I would be, even more rebellious. But the way I take it now is just like what you said a moment ago. At this stage of my life, I pay my own bills. I rent my own place. Yes, I'm not going to be more disrespectful to you, but the choices I make are, they're my choices to deal with, and they're my choices to live with.
Cool. And I also have another example as well. I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, even you, Brimma, like having one-sided friendships. Like if you're putting in all the effort and the work in the relationship, and they're just not reciprocating it. I think that's the worst thing. I feel like in the past, I probably would have like shut them out and stopped talking to them. But I feel like now I'm starting to have like more open conversations with them and set boundaries. And if they, continue to like disrespect or not like reciprocate the energy, then for me personally, I would just end the relationship and keep it moving. What about yourself?
That was quite interesting. I kind of want to expand on what you just said there a bit.
Okay.
You mentioned like one-sided relationships. One thing about, which is kind of the same theme along the lines of rejection, I guess might be setting boundaries, because what could happen, Vanessa, if it's one-sided, for example, on your end, as in you're doing the stuff. So you might have a friend who'd be like, okay, can you do this favor for me? You say yes. Can you do this favor for me again? On another occasion, you say yes. Can you borrow me money? You say yes. And then they ask you for something again. And the moment you reject them, you're like the worst person in the world. It doesn't,
I've heard that.
All of the good stuff that you've done for them and all the things you've been through, it no longer matters anymore. So I guess maybe boundaries as well can be thrown in with rejection as well. And I guess learning how to set boundaries and reject people respectfully by protecting yourself.
Cool. Okay, so the next one is love life. So, Brimma, could you give an example and how you would have dealt with it previously in comparison to now?
Guys, I'm going to be totally honest. I'm one of those guys you probably hated when I was younger. I'm 31 years old, so don't hold this against me. But I remember when I was younger and I was trying to chat up girls, and I guess
Because
if
you've
there
done
was
that
not
quite,
interest,
yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah, if there was not interest, I'd be like, oh, I didn't want you anyways. You're ugly, you're butters. I was one of those guys that couldn't handle rejection at the time. I guess maybe being out and about with my friends as well, them laughing, making it worse. But as we mature, we know obviously that's not the right thing to do and that's not right. But as we grow older, we kind of understand how to deal with it. So obviously, I'm not on the market, but if I was and I approached a female and wasn't interested, you have to respect that, and you kind of have to, I don't know, like maybe look at yourself. Maybe the clothes you wasn't wearing wasn't good enough. Maybe you're not her type. Sometimes you just have to accept she's not you're not her type. Move on. But in terms of love life now, what rejection would I get from love life? Maybe rejection for time or yeah, but I guess as you're more mature, you work around those things. So yeah.
Cool. My example, let's see. Well, I'm not currently in a relationship, but I have dealt
Oh,
with
okay.
guys. So for example, we're dating and then they're
Yeah.
just not maybe putting in the effort, or they're not
Yeah.
reciprocating like the
Mhm.
same effort that I'm giving out. I feel
Mhm.
like before I probably would have like questioned myself, like
Yeah.
my self-worth, because it's like
Yeah.
if that person's not showing me that they care, then there must be something like wrong with me.
Mhm.
And I feel like
Mhm.
a lot of like females, even males, can also tend to
Mhm.
feel that way.
Yeah.
But I feel like now I've just learned to kind of like accept like the
Yeah.
situation for all what it is. Like you can't
Yeah.
force someone to, show the same amount of respect and love that you're giving out. That's just not the way the world works. And
It's not. It's definitely not the way the world works. But yeah, I think it's similar to what I just said, where sometimes you just
yeah,
have to accept it. And a lot of times we kind of need to believe in our own source and say, okay, this person's not interested, but I'm sure, somebody else will be interested and kind of move on from that. But kind of getting caught in your feelings and then judging yourself, am I too tall? Am I too short? Am I too fat? Am I too skinny? Is my nose too big? It only leads to a negative spiral on yourself, So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I believe you just kind of at sometimes believe in your source, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you want to be like enthusiastic for the next relationship as well. You don't want to go in
Yeah,
there thinking the same thing is going to happen.
which is probably another topic, people, I guess, bringing in past experiences into new situations as well.
Exactly. There's plenty more
Yeah,
fish in the sea, right?
yeah, yeah. I'm allergic to fish, by the way.
Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm
You
just
sure?
thought about it.
Okay, cool. So the next one is work. So, for example, being
Hmm.
rejected from a job. So I've
Yeah,
had instances where I've gone for an interview,
yeah,
and sometimes they don't even get to you back. Like you put in so
yeah,
much work with your CV, you go for the interview, and they don't even contact you. They don't call you to let you know
yeah.
whether you've been successful or not.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've had instances like that. And how
Hmm.
I probably would have dealt with it before is I probably, like when I was younger, I probably would have given up
Yeah,
and just like stopped looking, because I felt like, well, if this company don't accept me, then no company will kind of like accept
yeah,
me. But I feel like now, if that situation was to happen, I'll probably spend more time like developing my CV and learning
yes,
more skills and just
yes,
like working on myself. So
yeah,
for the next job, I'll have, more qualifications, more experience,
absolutely,
and they're more likely to, take me on for the job. So yeah,
absolutely,
that's how I've dealt with
absolutely. Yeah, I think most of us in this working world have been through that stage where we wanted to
it.
leave one company or taking a
Mm,
risk and just quit our current job and then start
yeah.
looking. It
Mm,
is
mm,
a
mm,
bit
mm.
daunting, especially if you're sending out so many CVs to different companies, and some of them are just, I guess, rejecting you with nothing. You start to look at yourself and think, oh my
What's going
gosh, no
on?
one's going to
Yeah.
want. Yeah, let me stop. Maybe
Mm,
I should try again the next month, or maybe I should continue at the same employment where I'm not happy.
yeah.
Nobody else wants to take me on. But I think the mentality that I guess you have and you've employed is just keep pushing forward, you know, and even maybe review your CV, get somebody else to maybe have a look at it, and to have a second look
that's
in it,
true.
you know, absolutely. And yeah, I think you just kind of have to push forward.
And then the last one is classism. So have you ever experienced rejection? And have you got an example for that one?
Yeah, funny enough, I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine actually, on classism, and we was having a longer conversation. Obviously, I won't bore you with all the details, but
Yeah.
we get this. I guess for me, I get this all the time. But what I've come to the realization is it doesn't affect me
Yeah.
directly, because the reason why I'm saying that is in some places I won't be able to get into because, you know, I maybe don't come from a background, or, you know, I'm not part of that, my face doesn't fit. But what I'm thinking now is it actually doesn't affect me. So I'm sure most of us have seen on the Instagram people getting rejected from nightclubs in Mayfair. I guess because they don't fit the class or the kind of person that they want inside that party.
Yeah, I've seen that before as well.
Yeah, I would create my own party. I would go to a club or a party or a rave that, you know, have similar people to me. Like, I feel like sometimes, why do we try so hard
To fit
to
in.
fit? Yeah, do you know what I'm trying to say to you? Why do we try so hard to get into a Mayfair nightclub when they don't want you in there? You know, why not create your own party? Why not, go to a establishment that they have people look like you, where you're probably going to enjoy yourself more. They're going to play your music. You know, you've got guys and girls that you're probably more interested in, and they're interested in you.
Okay, well, I have an example. So, for example,
Yeah,
like where I live, there's not a lot of people that are from where I'm from, like from
yeah,
ethnic
hmm
backgrounds.
yeah,
So I definitely do feel it, like
yeah.
obviously living with people that are not like me,
Do
and like
you
the whole go on.
do you get like the looks like what you kind of doing here sort of thing? Is that what you mean? How that makes you feel?
Yeah, I do get the odd looks, but I don't
Mm.
feel like it affects me because at the end of the day, like you're not paying my rent. How you feel about me does not like determine my worth.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying to you. Certain things that
Mm.
don't directly impact you, as in they
Yeah.
can hold that thought all they want, but it's not going to do anything there, Vanessa, for you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I just believe like rejection, we're all going to go through it. We all go through it on a daily basis, but how we deal with it and not maybe dwelling on the fact that we got rejected, and maybe, I guess, improving ourselves or creating our own party, which is what I like to call it, and creating another situation where you can win. It's key. And
But just
yeah,
using
it's
it as a
not,
form of motivation rather than
yeah,
just
yeah,
internalizing it and dwelling on it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then maybe hating yourself too much, and then before you know it, you kind of lose sight of what you wanted. We kind of need to look at the good and the bad, but mainly focus on the good parts of getting rejected. And I guess feedback is another situation. I don't know. You mentioned you were speaking to some guy, or you might, when you're speaking to a guy, do you ever ask for feedback, or as to why, or what went wrong? Again, without going down the route of asking them to validate why they rejected you, do you ever
Oh,
ask for
that's a good
feedback?
question. That's a very
Mm,
good question.
mm.
I don't know. I feel like there's a fine line between asking for feedback
Yeah, yeah,
and then
absolutely.
looking
Very
for
funny one.
validation. For me personally,
Yeah,
like if it happened to me, like if I was talking to a guy
yeah,
and I didn't hear from him, I'm not going to reach out at the end of the day because you've
yeah,
asked me out on a date. So
yeah,
why would I ask for feedback? Like why would I
yeah,
say, oh, why didn't you like me, or why didn't you call me
yeah,
back?
yeah,
Honestly, if you're not using your intuition to do it, then you don't want to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
So I'll
absolutely.
just let it go and then just move on. And maybe
Yeah,
that relationship wasn't even right for me in the first place. But it
exactly.
depends. If it was a relationship whereby I've been dating them for some time, then I feel like I would
Yeah,
not ask, but I'd have that open conversation. But if it's just
yeah.
dating, then I wouldn't. I would not
Have you
ask
ever
for
been
feedback.
have you ever been in a situation where guys maybe gone cold on you, then Vanessa, then I don't know, maybe a year down the line or a couple months down the line, you found out that, I don't know, they was, had a girlfriend already or had kids, and was in a
Oh,
situation that you wouldn't have been interested in. But what I'm saying is that initial rejection would seem like is bad for you, right? But then you've avoided an even messier situation, right?
No, that for me, I've never had that, because when it comes
Mm,
to dating, I tend to ask like a lot of questions, sort of thing. And if I
mm,
feel like within my gut that something's not right, then I'll probably ask. And I feel like
yeah.
there's signs, like when it comes to dating, like there's definitely red flags that you
Hmm.
can pick up on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and address. Like I wouldn't just see something and then just ignore it and continue, sort of thing. I
Mm,
feel like
mm,
someone can show you kind of like their character and who they are within the space of like even 4 weeks, sort of thing. So
yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
really be oblivious to that, and I feel like I would
Yeah.
know. But there's
You
some
know.
people that
Yeah.
can hide it. There's some people
Absolutely.
that can do that. Have you
Absolutely.
experienced that?
Um, I guess not in a relationship sense, but where
Oh,
I've, I guess, met somebody or, started going down the route of calling somebody a friend, whether it's a colleague at work or anything. But then you find out something about them which is true and verified
mm,
down the line. So I guess people can fake it. But what I was saying though, Vanessa, was
mm,
let's just say in a situation like that where you're
yeah.
speaking to a guy and
Mm.
he just went cold on you, and then you found out X, Y, Z.
Oh,
Now, the initial rejection of him going cold on you, I guess, would
yeah.
hurt. But
Yes.
on the flip side of that, you've now avoided a messy situation down the line. So rejection may seem bad, but in that situation, you've just avoided your time getting wasted even more and the
Yeah.
drama and
Sometimes
politics
it's a
behind it.
blessing in disguise. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do agree.
that's the way I want to say it. That's what exactly what I want to say. Sometimes rejection is good. So I guess that's what I'd like to add to that.
I feel like also the way I've tried to like picture rejection is I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes it can actually turn into self-rejection. So say for
Hmm.
example what you just said about if a guy stops talking to you. So say
Yeah.
I'm dating a guy, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he cuts off. So I try to imagine it kind of like a tunnel. So
Yeah.
if I'm going inside the tunnel and the
Yeah.
guy has just said, you know what, I'm not interested, blah blah blah,
Mm.
like I feel like that can turn into self-rejection, because sometimes people can like gaslight you and make
Yeah.
you feel like you are less than because they
Yeah.
feel that
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
so the way I see it is if I have a tunnel, and I'm just entering it, and then
Yeah.
where the exit is, if I create like
You haven't
another
got out.
barrier, then I
Mm.
can't get out. And I feel like that's kind of
Mm.
like self-rejection, sort of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't really allow what other people say or feel about you to affect
Absolutely.
you moving on and then leaving the
Yeah.
tunnel and finding something better. So that's how I
Yeah.
try to picture
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's a beautiful way of expressing it. But at the same time, I want to add as well that we live in London, where there's so many beautiful people from different backgrounds. The
Mm,
world's your oyster in terms of the dating world. So I don't know. Maybe in that situation, I guess I don't use the word plenty of fish in the sea or stuff like that, but you can't kind of look at yourself and feel bad, as in feel hatred towards yourself, or you're not good enough for yourself, because there will be somebody there that would, scoop you up in an instant. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes though we do kind of need to look at ourselves,
No,
but
that's true. That is true as well.
yeah, we do kind of need to look at ourselves and say, I don't know, was I carrying the conversation, or did I give off the wrong vibes, or but I guess not asking somebody to determine your value, I guess, would help you. I don't know if I've kind of contradicted myself a few times here, but
Yeah. So
I'm,
how would you deal with that then? Say you're in a situation where
yeah,
you're with someone, you're dating someone,
yeah.
and then they go cold turkey on you. How would you ask them for feedback without sounding like you're desperate, like you want like validation? Because I think you did
I won't.
contradict yourself.
Yeah, I won't be the first person to be typing or texting, "Hey, big head, long time," to try to kind of get back in the picture. But I guess, it's a bit of a funny one, that one, to be fair. I guess it depends on what's happened during that time. So you're just talking about during the
Mm.
talking stages.
Okay, yeah, let's just say during the talking stages.
During the talking stages, if I'm quite honest, unless that person blew my mind, I wouldn't really care.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would not really
Yeah.
care. I wouldn't lose any sleep. But if that person blew my mind and we had beautiful conversation, we had similar interests,
Yeah, then
I
it would
kind of
affect you.
might. Yeah, I
Mm.
might be like, hey, long time, I'm just checking in. Is everything all right? But if it's like talking stages and, we're just getting to know each other, then I guess I'm not going to lose any sleep. I live in London. There's plenty of people out here. So,
Yeah, there's
yeah,
lots of options available.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Brimma, for joining the podcast. Thanks for your time. Hopefully you can be a part of another podcast and we can have more conversations as well in the future.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And if you want to get involved with these conversations, then please do follow us on Twitter by using our hashtag Clmpodcast. And the page is at Clmpodcast1. So thanks very much. Thanks, Brimma. And we'll see you on the next podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.